What if I told you that most men miss the moment a woman says, "I want you," not with her words, but with her body? She won't say it outright. She'll drop subtle signals, quiet glances, nervous gestures, soft tension. And unless you're still enough, you'll overlook them. Here's the truth. Women don't chase with footsteps, they chase with energy. And only the man who's grounded, stoic, and unmoved by noise will notice it when she does. Right now, most men are too reactive, too distracted to read what's unspoken. But if you can sit with silence, resist the urge to impress, and simply observe, you'll start hearing what her eyes say, louder than words. So if you're done missing signs and ready to step into true awareness, hit like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment below. I read the silence between her words. Number 1. When her eyes speak louder than words. There's a moment, barely a second longer than usual, when her eyes lock with yours and don't look away. Not a glance, not a polite acknowledgement, but something softer, something that lingers. This is the beginning of a language older than words, attraction revealed not by confession, but by attention. Men often make the mistake of missing these micro moments. They're too focused on what she says and not enough on what she reveals. But a woman's true feelings rarely walk through the front door. They slip in through a side window, through her gaze, her body's slight lean, and her voice shift. These subtle cues are not games. They are guarded invitations, and a stoic man knows. You don't barge in, you recognize, observe, and wait for the right moment to enter. Most assume attraction is loud, full of words, laughter, dramatic body language, but the most powerful signals are whispered. Her proximity shortens, her voice lowers, her touch lingers. She doesn't need to tell you she's interested, because her body already has. Yet here's the mistake: reacting too quickly, commenting on it, acknowledging it too soon. That breaks the tension, kills the dance. A stoic doesn't chase the moment. He lets it unfold. He sees her lean in, but doesn't immediately move. He feels her gaze, but doesn't demand answers. Why? Because he doesn't need to confirm. He trusts the language of presence. Forget the myth that women fall for words. They fall for energy. And nothing transmits stronger energy than a man who is calm under desire, who recognizes the cue, but doesn't leap, who notices the door crack open and waits for her to open it fully. That's how she starts thinking about you, obsessing over why you didn't pounce, wondering if you noticed. That's how she leans in deeper, because silence invites curiosity, and curiosity feeds connection. Comment below. I move with intention, not impulse. Number 2. When she closes the distance but keeps it playful. Attraction doesn't always announce itself through direct words. It dances in space, specifically the space between you and her. If she repeatedly enters your bubble, stands closer than social norms dictate, or accidentally brushes past you a few times too many, don't write it off. These are tests, controlled collisions, and the man who knows how to read them owns the moment. Most men rush in. They interpret proximity as permission. They escalate without awareness. But the stoic man knows that proximity is not a green light but a pulse, an echo of curiosity, not confirmation. And that difference is everything. When a woman is drawn to you, she won't always say it aloud. Instead, she'll sit beside you when she could have sat anywhere. She'll lean in a little more when she laughs. She'll hover close, waiting for your awareness to catch on, hoping you don't make it obvious. Why? Because mystery is the game. And when you break it by reacting too soon, you destroy the tension she's trying to build. True presence means noticing without assuming, holding your frame even as the air thickens. Let her feel the electricity of nearness without you scrambling to ground it. Let her feel the electricity of nearness. without you scrambling to ground it. Let her step into your field without trying to ground it in her. This is the masculine anchor she doesn't admit she's seeking. A man who can sit in the spark without trying to turn it into fire too soon. A man who isn't afraid to not move, who understands that space isn't just a gap, it's a message. And that message is, I'm here, but only if you come closer on your own. The paradox is this: the less you try to close the space, the more she feels it, the more she fills it, and in that invisible current, true desire builds. Not from control, but from calm. Comment below. I hold my space and she enters it by choice. Number 3. When her fingers say what her words. Touch is the language of the subconscious. Long before a woman confesses attraction, her body whispers it, through a brush of her hand, a lingering pat, a playful nudge that lingers half a second too long. This isn't random, this is her nervous system speaking, checking if you're listening. The average man feels a touch and takes it as an invitation. He responds immediately, escalates, or freezes in awkward disbelief. But the Stoic man doesn't react. He registers. He sees touch not as a cue for action, but as a mirror of connection. Let's break it down. When she taps your shoulder during a laugh, grazes your arm while making a point, or pushes you jokingly during banter, she's not just being friendly, she's testing tension, testing your awareness, seeing if you can hold the charge without short-circuiting. Biologically, even light contact stimulates dopamine, the reward chemical. That's why touch creates memory. That's why she might accidentally find excuses to touch again. But this isn't about how much you touch, but how much you don't need to. The mistake most men make is reciprocating too eagerly. They think, she touched me, I should touch back. No. The real power lies in your restraint. When you feel her energy move toward you and don't immediately give it back, you leave space for her to feel the contrast. And in that space, tension blooms. Stoic wisdom teaches, just because something happens externally doesn't mean it controls you internally. A hand on your arm is not a command, it's a signal. Your response should not be reactive but intentional, calm, subtle, anchored. Maybe you let the touch land, but you keep speaking without shifting your tone. Maybe you meet her gaze briefly, then return to what you were doing. These small gestures say one thing: I felt that, and I'm not desperate for more. That's what makes you unforgettable. Comment below. My calm is louder than her signal. Number 4. Her voice changes because you change her focus. Most men miss this sign not because it's hidden, but because they're too focused on what she's saying, not how she's saying it. When a woman starts speaking to you in a voice that's softer, slower, or lower than how she speaks to everyone else, that's not coincidence. That's chemistry. Her tone is a window into her emotional state. When attraction builds, the nervous system reacts. Her muscles relax. Her words stretch, her pitch drops. It's the body's way of signaling intimacy without crossing obvious lines. And if you're the reason for that shift, you've entered a space most men never reach: psychological closeness. Here's the test: can you hold that space without breaking it? A common mistake is responding with too much excitement. Men mirror the softness with flirtation or escalate the moment with jokes or innuendo. But that shatters the atmosphere. The Stoic man doesn't react, he harmonizes, he lets the tone settle, he listens with full presence without interrupting. His energy doesn't rise, it grounds. This does two things. First, it validates her vulnerability. She realizes she can be in her feminine without being rushed or exposed. Second, it deepens the emotional charge. Because now, she isn't just speaking, she's revealing. And you're not just listening, you're witnessing. You see, most men chase attention, but women crave atmosphere. When you lower your own tempo, speak less but with precision, respond with stillness instead of banter, she feels it. She senses that she's with someone who isn't trying to win her, but someone she wants to open up to. That's power. Stoicism teaches, don't speak just to fill space. Let your energy speak for you. Be the quiet in the noise, the steadiness in her storm. When her voice drops, let yours do the same. Not because you're mimicking, but because you're already rooted. Comment below, silence is the space where her interest grows. Number 5, when she plays with fire and waits to see if you flinch. You think she's just teasing, a sarcastic comment here, a playful jab there, but this isn't just flirting, it's a test. When a woman begins to challenge you with humor, subtle disapproval, or light mockery, she's not being mean, she's checking for strength, for stability, for leadership. This is what I call playful defiance. It's when she pushes just enough to see if you bend. Most men fail here. They either become defensive, "Why would you say that?" or try to outwit her with overcompensation. But both reactions miss the point. She doesn't want a reaction. She wants a response. She wants to know if you can handle her storm without trying to control it or run from it. Now enter the Stoic frame. He hears the tease, sees the sparkle behind her eyes and responds not with offense but with grounded amusement. Maybe a half smile, maybe a pause, maybe just a noted. His power isn't in being louder, it's in being unmoved. Here's the truth. When a woman teases you, she's creating friction, and friction is heat. But heat without containment becomes chaos. Your job is not to extinguish the flame, but to become the vessel that holds it. That's what creates polarity. That's what builds tension. And tension is the heartbeat of attraction. So next time she says, "Oh, you think you're charming, ha!" Don't prove her wrong or right. Just hold the eye contact. Let her own words echo in her mind. The man who doesn't flinch becomes the man she keeps returning to, not because he dominates her, but because she trusts him with her fire. Stoicism reminds us, control is not suppression, it's direction. Energy isn't bad, but without a center it becomes noise, and the man who carries silence within him can absorb even the wildest winds without losing his course. Comment below, I let her challenge me and I never lose my center. Number 6, when her voice lowers, her guard drops first. She was loud, confident, maybe even sarcastic, until something shifted. Suddenly her voice drops, her words slow down, and the space between sentences stretches. She's not performing anymore, she's present, and you've just crossed the threshold from surface to substance. This moment, subtle, quiet, and often overlooked, is one of the most powerful signals of emotional vulnerability. When a woman softens her tone with you, something inside her feels safe, not manipulated, not impressed, but seen. Why does this happen? Because the masculine stillness you carry allows her to disarm, not through seduction, but through resonance. Her nervous system, often on alert in a chaotic world, finally senses steadiness. And she responds, not with logic, but with presence. But here's where most men mess up. They rush in. They fill the silence. They joke. They break eye contact. Why? Because they can't handle the intimacy. The stillness makes them uncomfortable. But a Stoic man? He stays. He lets the silence do its work. He doesn't push the moment forward. He lets her lead without force, because he knows real connection isn't loud, it whispers, and only the quiet hear it. This is where trust is built, not through grand gestures, but through subtle moments of shared breath, where words aren't necessary and attention is the highest form of intimacy. So when her voice lowers, don't see it as just flirting. See it as an invitation, not into her body, but into her world. And if you want to stay in that world, don't rush, don't fix, don't perform, just be. As Epictetus wrote, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. Comment below, her silence speaks, I stay long enough to hear it. Number 7. Her playful challenges are not jokes, they're tests. She teases you, questions your taste in music, rolls her eyes at your opinion, then smiles. It might seem like harmless banter, but beneath the laughter is something deeper. She's testing the strength of your presence. Women don't always ask, "Are you a man I can trust?" directly. Instead, they ask through behavior, through irony, through a light shove or a sarcastic jab. It's not hostility, it's curiosity in disguise. She wants to know, can you hold your ground without becoming defensive? Most men fail this test. They overreact, try to prove themselves, or worse, go cold and shut down. But a Stoic man, he doesn't flinch. He understands that a challenge is not a threat, it's an opportunity to reveal his centeredness. So what does that look like? When she says, "You like that band," you don't justify, you don't attack, you smirk and say, "Absolutely, you'll come around." And then you drop it. No over-explaining, no chasing validation, just quiet confidence. Why does this work? Because when you don't react emotionally, she sees something rare, stability. She sees a man who isn't thrown off by feminine storms, who doesn't need to prove, only to be, and in that moment her respect grows, her attraction deepens, because where others bend, you stay unmoved. This isn't about being stubborn or arrogant, it's about being so secure in who you are that teasing doesn't rattle your identity. You can joke, laugh, engage, but never at the cost of your self-worth. The Stoic understands this. Playful defiance is not a battle to win, it's a dance to lead. So next time she throws a playful punch, don't dodge it, don't swing back. Smile, step forward, let her see that the fire in you burns steady. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. In this case, the best response to provocation is poise. Comment below, I don't flinch, I smile and let her test me. Number 8. When she mirrors you. It's not coincidence, it's connection. You lean back, she leans back. You lift your glass, a moment later she does the same. Your tone slows, softens, and hers unconsciously follows. It's subtle, almost invisible. But if you're paying attention, it speaks louder than any confession. She's feeling you. This is the mirror effect, one of the most powerful yet underrated signs of attraction. When a woman unconsciously mimics your posture, movements, or speech patterns, her body says what her words won't. I'm syncing with you. Not because she plans it, but because connection always seeks harmony. It's biological, it's primal, and it's intimate. But here's where most men go wrong. They spot the mirroring and immediately try to amplify it. They lean in too fast, flirt too hard, say something like, "You're copying me," and just like that, the magic is broken. A Stoic man does not call out the mirror, he honors it with stillness. He lets her feel the resonance without labeling it. He notices but stays grounded. Because to recognize connection without trying to control it is to create space for it to grow. Why does this matter? Because mirroring is involuntary. It only happens when she feels emotionally safe and energetically drawn to you, and by not reacting you allow her to remain in that comfort, unguarded, open, invested. So the next time you see her matching your rhythm, take it as a quiet compliment. Not an invitation to escalate, but a sign to deepen your presence. Speak slower, ground your energy. Let her lean in, not to your words, but to your being. Remember, real connection doesn't shout, it reflects. And when she starts to reflect you, that's not your cue to perform, that's your cue to remain. Because the man who doesn't force alignment but simply radiates it is the one she mirrors without even knowing why. Comment below, real attraction reflects in silence, not performance. Number 9. She doesn't say it, but her energy won't lie. Some truths don't come from words, they come from presence, from how she looks at you when she thinks you're not paying attention, from how her laughter softens only around you, from the tiny shift in her energy when you enter the room. When a woman is drawn to you, her entire nervous system responds before her logic catches up. She may never admit it aloud, but her body speaks through proximity, touch, tone, and attention. And the man who sees through the noise, who listens with his awareness instead of his ego, is the one who becomes unforgettable. Stoicism teaches us to observe without judgment, to understand reality not through wishful thinking, but through what is. This is where the power lies, not in chasing signals, but in recognizing them without confirmation. You notice she mirrors your posture, but you say nothing. You feel the tension when she stands closer, but you stay grounded. You sense her pullback is just a test, and so you do not chase. This self-trope is magnetic, because most men break the moment they see a signal. They comment on it, chase it, try to lock it in. But the Stoic man? He remains, and in remaining he gives her space to lean further in. When you stop needing her to confess, she feels safe to express. And expression isn't always words. It's in the effort she makes to see you, the way she brings up something small you said weeks ago, the pause in her voice when she says your name. These are not accidents. They are echoes of emotional resonance. And if you can hear them, you've already won something far more powerful than attention, influence. So here's the paradox. The man who doesn't need to know is the one she wants to show. He doesn't interrogate, he observes. He doesn't perform, he is. And because of that, her attraction doesn't feel forced. It grows in the silent spaces he leaves open. Comment below, I don't chase signs. I become one. Number 10. The man she can't ignore is the one who doesn't need to be noticed. Final thoughts. The game ends when you stop playing it, when you shift your focus from decoding her every move to mastering your own presence. Something changes. First in you, then in her. The more you seek validation, the more you blend in. But the moment you let go of needing to be chosen, you become the one she notices without understanding why. Women are intuitive. They don't just respond to words or actions, they respond to energy, and energy doesn't lie. A man who walks into a room centered, quiet and whole, without the impulse to impress, creates tension. That tension breeds curiosity, curiosity breeds obsession, and all of it begins with stillness. Stoicism isn't about shutting down, it's about tuning in to what matters. It's about noticing her glances without becoming reactive, feeling her pull without needing to confirm it, holding your line even when everything tempts you to chase. Because the truth is, the man who respects his time, his attention and his emotional space is rare, and what's rare becomes irresistible. So, as we close this series of signs, remember, the most powerful signal isn't the one she sends, it's the one you embody. When you radiate calm power, she leans in, not because you forced her to, but because your energy made her feel safe, challenged, and alive. This is the essence of Stoic attraction, not chasing affection but commanding presence, not demanding connection but allowing it. You don't force her to feel something, You create the conditions where she wants to. Let the others play games. You build depth. Let the others react. You observe. Let the others chase. You stand still. And in that stillness, you become the one she never forgets. Comment below. My silence speaks louder than their words. You came here looking for proof, and now you've seen it. Women communicate desire through instinct, not instruction. She won't text it. She'll lean in closer, linger in the pause, soften her tone. But only the stoic man, present in every moment, will feel it land. Her body speaks volumes, but it only performs for presence, not performance. If you're ready to train your awareness, not your ego, like this video, subscribe and comment. My calm sees what others overlook. Stay still, stay perceptive, because when you stop chasing signs, you start receiving them.